Welcome to the second lecture. Today we're going to be talking about deleting, adding, selecting multiple objects, etc. First of all, how can we actually delete stuff? Well, not with backspace, but with X. Ctrl Z is still undo, by the way, but why is deleting X and not backspace? I have no clue. Ask Ton Roosendaal. Anyway, as I said, with left click you can select stuff, and when you hold shift with left clicking you can select multiple things, and control left click subtracts something from a selection. Currently we have these three objects in our scene, the camera, the cube, and the light. If we want to select all of them, we just press A for select all. And if we want to delete everything, you basically press A to select everything and press X to delete everything, and there you go. Everything is gone now. We have multiple selection tools to choose from. The standard one is the box selection tool, which is this one. If we hit W on the keyboard, we get the circle selection tool. And if you hit W again, you will get the lasso select or the tweak tool. And if there's one thing you need to know about the tweak tool, nobody's ever using it, so you might as well forget it. However, the circle selection is pretty relevant. So for example, if we're working on a high detail model and we want to select multiple points, so we can then use the circle tool, and maybe we can then also delete those faces, but that's something we'll talk about in the next couple of lectures. We're just gonna delete this cube, and there's one more tool I want to show you guys, and that's the lasso select tool. You can use this to draw a shape around the object that you want to select. And as you can see, everything inside of the lasso will be selected. And the lasso select can be convenient, but we'll mostly be working with the box selection tool and the circle selection tool because those are the most commonly used. Quick little detail about the circle selection tool, we have to go over the object's origin. So you can try to randomly select some other part, but you have to go over the orange dot, which is the object's origin, to make the selection properly. And by default, the object's origin is at the center of the geometry. You can change the origin point of an object, but that's something I'll tell you in one of the next lectures. For the camera right now though, the object's origin is in the back, so we have to select it in the back to make it work with the circle select tool. Usually when you're working in the 3D viewport, you will be working with the box selection though. Okay, I'm just gonna delete this cube, and now we want to add something. So how do we do that? We press Shift A, and then a little menu pops up. So Shift and A opens the add menu, and there's some more options than you can see right now. For example, the Archimesh or the landscape add-ons, but these things will all be talked about in the next coming lectures, so don't worry about not seeing those right now. Now, I'm just going to add a cylinder, for instance, and with the cylinder comes some very interesting settings. And you can open these settings in the bottom left menu, such as the resolution, for example. The more you add, the more round the cylinder becomes. And the less resolution you add, the more it becomes a prism kind of thing, where you only see 3 vertices. And besides the vertices, you also have the radius and the depth. You can also fill out these parameters manually by numbers. If you make a mistake by accident, you can use the right click to snap everything back into place in the way it was before. So we can mess around in this bottom left menu, and we also have location and rotation sliders, which correspond with the 3 axes, the X, the Y, and the Z. However, if you now left click somewhere, the menu disappears, and it will be gone forever. And there's no way of getting it back. Yeah, that's just how it is. Nah, I'm kidding. Of course, you can get it back by pressing the Fn or the F9 button on your keyboard. And then wherever the mouse is placed, this menu will appear again. However, if you go into edit mode or if you start scaling around with stuff, then you cannot open this menu again. Now, say we are unhappy with this cylinder because there's not enough vertices or some of the settings don't work for us, then we can just delete it and add another cylinder in. And the good part is that the new cylinder will have the exact same settings that the one we just deleted has. So it has remembered the amount of vertices that was in there. Okay, so say I have an object that I'm very happy with. Now the question is, how do I move it? How do I rotate it? How do I scale it? Basically, how do I transform this object? Well, that's something we're going to look into in the next lecture.